Thank you, everybody. My name is Chris. I'm from Kalamazoo, Michigan. Michelle's going to come up here. Rather than try to explain all of the things that went wrong with the Kalamazoo River spill, we're going to give you a quick little 3-minute video that goes in a timeline pretty much from 5 years before the spill of information up to 2015 and ending with something that's called Line 5. After that, Michelle will give a kind of a brief story here, and then I'm going to close it out. So, and thank you. And again, to our tech guy, Andy, doing double duty.
Spill in Michigan is getting a lot of attention. A leaking pipeline that sent oil into a creek that feeds the Kalamazoo River.
Kalamazoo River was in an instant transferred into a sea of oil. A 30-inch pipeline, a 2.5-foot wide pipeline that ran beneath the surrounding wetlands. That's right, West Michigan's oil spill is bigger than first thought. Originally, Enbridge told us that 819,000 gallons of oil spilled into the Kalamazoo River. Today, the EPA said 1.1 million gallons has been cleaned up. But the oil company responsible for that pipeline. We've been tracking this story since the about cracks in that particular stretch of pipeline a full 5 years before the pipe ruptured. Quoting the NTSB, for 5 years, they did nothing to address the corrosion or cracking at the rupture site. But wait, it gets worse. The investigation also revealed that it took the oil company, this company Enbridge, it took them a good 17 hours before they even realized that one of their own pipes had burst. And in that time, they pumped more than 600,000 gallons of oil through the ruptured pipeline and right into the river. The NTSB also found that Enbridge employees did not have adequate skills to deal with pipeline leaks. They found the company didn't bother making sure that enough resources were in place to respond to a spill like this. And thanks to lax government regulations, Enbridge never had to lay out how exactly they would deal with a worst-case scenario.
1999, Crystal Falls, 226,000 gallons spilled out of Line 5. 2002, Lakehead System, 200,000 gallons spilled into 21,000 gallons spilled in Bayonne, Michigan. 2007, 50,000 spilled in February, 201. July 2010, Marshall, Michigan, 1 million gallons approximately. Never said that trying to protect the
Hi, my name is Michelle Barland-Smith, and I live 200 feet from the river 4 years, 9 months ago. And you got to see a little bit of what we got to deal with. I've since moved about 45 miles away, but I have been fighting a lot of battles since then, and I'm honored to be here. This is my second visit to Madison. I came for the Tar Sand and Balkan Summit, and met a couple of people, and I said, hey, we want to do a tour. It's against Enbridge. Do you want to go? Okay. And I understand you guys have been dealing with Enbridge. So I've been telling stories as we go along about various residents, various friends, but I'd like to get a show of hands. I'm going to videotape this, so duck if you don't want to. But if you could, raise your hand. Oh, there went my camera. Sort of thing. We'll do it for a picture. If you have ever heard of the Kalamazoo River, will you please raise your hand? This is what gives me hope. Is 4 years, about 7 months ago, I had a lead Enbridge attorney say to me, oh, people don't care about the oil spill, they won't remember it in a week. And I went home and I wrote a list of 10 things I was going to do. And one of them was, they will remember the Kalamazoo River. I don't want this to happen to another community, whether it is here in Wisconsin, in Minnesota, any place, any of these companies want to put one. It is the most horrific thing that a community can go through. But there is hope because there are people out there that care and that fight. And I'm glad to see you guys fight. And I'm going to turn it over to Chris. Thank you for being here.
So, one of the things that came across after the spill, I lived in Kalamazoo when it happened. I actually grew up on the Kalamazoo River as a child. And for a year and a half, I didn't bother worrying too much about the spill because I watched a couple news reports that said everything was under control. And that all the authorities told us, we got it, it's okay. We're in control. And that was the thing that we heard. And not knowing no better, all right, they're in control. After a year and a half, a whistleblower got me to go out to the river. And to try and keep this part short, the river I grew up on, I thought I was stepping 6 inches off of the shoreline into what might have been about 10 inches of water. Because Enbridge lied about cleaning up the river and just dumping sand on a whole bunch of oil, instead of stepping 6 inches, I went up to my waist. My friends there pulled me out, and as they pulled me out, my leg was covered in black oil. And for the next 3 days, I threw up. In November this year, I found out that I have a rare, incurable orphan disease. I'm not even going to try to say it's hydro something supura something. It's an uncurable disease. It's a rare form, so there's almost no data about it. And even though this is a disease that's supposed to be present in 0.02% of the population, the trailer park that Michelle lived at has 8 other residents that have this rare disease. And that's not the one that gets me. The one that gets me is that in 2012, they told us that the water was safe, and they told us that we could go fishing and we could go swimming. And an 8-year-old I know went swimming in the river and it came out with a rash. And 6 months later, he had to see a kidney and the liver specialist. And at age 10, he was diagnosed with liver cancer. And there are 300,000 people that go in this river in the summer. And to this day, they'll tell us that it's controlled and it's safe. And they'll tell us that the oil is cleaned up, even though you can see a sheen floating down the river. And I know what I'm saying right now sounds really, really heavy. But I want you guys to do something else first. I'm going to have you do a couple things here real quick, and I'll try to be short tonight. The first thing is I want you to stop looking at me for a second, and I want you all to start looking at each other. I want you to see who's in this room with you. Say hi, shake hands. Good to see these faces. Now I want you guys to do something else. I want you to put your fists up in the air with me. And say this with me. We've all heard this before. Power to the people!
Power to the people!
Feels a little weird, the rear sign. Keep your hands up. One more time. Power to the people!
Power to the people!
Feels a little bit more. You got a little bit more power, right? This time, with everything, with every kid you think about, I want you to think about how you want to protect them. I want you to think about how you want to stop Line 6-1. Power to the people! The thing I want to make sure I give you guys before I step off is you have power. You have the power to change this pipeline. I don't care how much money this company has. I don't care what politicians they bought. That's paper. That is not power. The power is in this room. The power is in each other. The power is when you take a community and you go beyond that as a word. When you know these people, when you build relationships with each other, you get something together that money cannot give you. You have the power to stop Line 61. You have the power to stop these bomb trains. And I want to go on this tour and let you guys know, no matter what it is you face, no matter what it is you do, if you hold each other, if you love each other, and you come from a place of your heart, you can protect your kids, you can protect your family, and you cannot be the next Kalamazoo. Thank you.